Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Trinadapi Sunichena Tarar Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Harir Nam Harir Nama Harir Namai Vakivalam Kalau Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone as we continue our Krishna book sessions. I noticed today that we are winding up the Vrindavan Leela. We only have a few more classes and we will be transferring from Vrindavan to Mathura. So you don't want to miss any exciting episode of Krishna book. Tonight's class is entitled The Gopis' Feelings of Separation. The first part is an introduction. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The Gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to Krishna that they were not satisfied simply with the rasa dance at night, for the Gopis wanted to associate with Krishna and enjoy his company during the daytime also. So when Krishna went to the forest with his cowherder boyfriends and cows, the Gopis did not physically take part, but their hearts went with Krishna. And because their hearts went, they were able to enjoy Krishna's company through strong feelings of separation, technically known as vipralambha. To acquire this strong feeling of separation is one of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and his direct disciplic succession of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So when we are not in physical contact with Krishna, we can associate with Krishna like the Gopis through feelings of separation. Krishna's transcendental form, qualities, pastimes, and entourage are all identical with Krishna. There are 9 different kinds of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanavedanam. The 9 processes are hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, worshiping, serving, meditation on the Lord's lotus feet, becoming a humble servant, becoming a friend, and completely surrendering one's complete self to Krishna. Devotional service to Krishna in feelings of separation elevates the devotee to the highest perfectional level, the level of the Gopis. It is stated in Srinivas Acharya's prayers to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, Tyaktva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati Srening Sadatu Chavat Bhutva Dina Ganesha Kau Karunaya Kaupina Kantasrita Gopi Baba Rasamritabdi Lahari Kalolo Magno Muhur, Vande Rupa Sanatano, Raghu Yagao, Sri Jiva Gopalaka. The 6 Goswami disciples of Lord Chaitanya left the material opulences of government servant and the princely status of life and went to Vrindavan, where they lived just like ordinary mendicants, begging from door to door. But these 6 Goswamis were so much enriched with the Gopis' feelings of separation that the 6 Goswamis enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment. And similarly, when Lord Chaitanya was at Jagannath Puri, Lord Chaitanya was in the role of Srimati Radharani, feeling separation from Krishna. Those who are in the disciplic succession of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya should always feel separation from Krishna. They should always worship Krishna's transcendental form, and they should always discuss his transcendental teachings, pastimes, qualities, and entourage. So this is exactly what we do every week when we have our Krishna book class. We are exactly following this principle of Lord Chaitanya, because that's all we do when we have this class. We discuss Krishna's teachings, pastimes, qualities, entourage, and paraphernalia. That will enrich the devotee to the highest devotional perfection. Feeling constant separation while engaged in the service of Krishna is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. The Gopis used to discuss Krishna amongst themselves, and their talks were as follows. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everything sound good? Show me if everything still sounds good. All right, let's go to our next episode where we will actually hear the Gopis' feelings of separation. This chapter consists of a collection of statements the Gopis made at various times as they stood in small groups here and there in Vrindavan. Prayer number 1. My dear friends, do you know that when Krishna lies on the ground, Krishna rests on his left elbow and Krishna's head rests on his left hand? Krishna moves his attractive eyebrows while playing his flute with his delicate fingers, and the sound Krishna produces creates such a nice atmosphere that the denizens of the heavenly planets who travel in outer space with their wives and beloveds stop their airplanes, for they are stunned by the vibration of Krishna's flute. The wives of the demigods who are seated in the plains then become very much ashamed of their singing and musical qualifications. Not only that, but they become afflicted with conjugal love, and so their hair and tight clothes immediately loosen. Prayer number 2. Another Gopi said, "Oh my dear friends, Krishna is so beautiful that the goddess of fortune herself always remains on Krishna's chest, and Krishna is always adorned with a golden necklace. That mark on Krishna's chest, the mark of the goddess of fortune, is known as Srivatsa. And so, beautiful Krishna plays his flute in order to enliven the hearts of many, many devotees. Krishna is the only friend of the suffering living entities. When Krishna plays his flute, all the cows and other animals of Vrindavan are engaged in eating. Simply take a morsel of food in their mouths and stop chewing. Their ears raise up and they become stunned. They do not appear alive, but they appear like painted animals. Krishna's flute playing is so attractive that even the animals become enchanted, and what to speak of ourselves. Prayer number 3. Another Gopi said, "O my dear friends, not only living animals, but even inanimate objects like the rivers and lakes of Vrindavan also become stunned when Krishna passes with peacock feathers on his head and his body smeared with the minerals of Vrindavan, with leaves and flowers decorating his body. Krishna looks like some hero. When Krishna plays on his flute and calls the cows with Balaram, the river Yamuna stops flowing and waits for the wind to carry dust from Krishna's lotus feet. The river Yamuna is also unfortunate like us gopis, for it does not get Krishna's mercy. So the river simply remains stunned, stopping its waves, just as we also stop crying for Krishna in his expectation of returning. In the absence of Krishna, the gopis were constantly shedding tears. But sometimes, when they expected that Krishna was coming back, they would stop crying. But when they saw that Krishna was not coming, then again they would become frustrated and begin to cry. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, the origin of all other Vishnu forms, and the cowherder boys are all demigods. Lord Vishnu is always worshipped and surrounded by different demigods, like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and others. When Krishna would travel through the Vrindavan forest, or when Krishna walked on Govardhan Hill, Krishna was accompanied by the other cowherder boys. While walking, Krishna would play his flute just to call his cows. And just by Krishna's association, the trees, plants, and other vegetation in the forest immediately became Krishna conscious. A true Krishna conscious person sacrifices everything for Krishna. Although the trees and plants are not ordinarily very advanced in consciousness, by the association of Krishna and his friends, they also became Krishna conscious. They then wanted to deliver everything, whatever they had, namely their fruits, flowers, and honey, incessantly falling from their branches. When Krishna walked on the bank of the Yamuna, Krishna was seen nicely decorated with tilak on his face. Krishna was garlanded with different kinds of forest flowers, and Krishna's body was smeared with the pulp of sandalwood and tulsi leaves. The bumblebees became mad after the fragrance and sweetness of the entire atmosphere. Being pleased by the humming sound of the bees, Krishna would play his flute, and together the sounds became so sweet to hear that the aquatic birds, like cranes, swans, and ducks, were all charmed. Instead of swimming or flying, these aquatic birds became thus stunned, they closed their eyes and entered a trance in meditation in worship of Krishna. Prayer number 4. One gopi said, "My dear friends, Krishna and Balaram are nicely dressed with earrings and pearl necklaces. They enjoy themselves on the top of Govardhan Hill, and thus everything becomes absorbed in transcendental pleasure when Krishna plays on his flute, charming the whole created manifestation. When Krishna plays, the clouds stop their loud thundering out of fear of Krishna, and rather than disturb the vibration of Krishna's flute, the clouds respond with mild thunder, and thus they congratulate their friend, Krishna. Krishna is accepted as the friend of the cloud because both the cloud and Krishna satisfy the people when they are disturbed. When the people are burning due to excessive heat, the cloud satisfies them with rain. Similarly, when people in materialistic life become disturbed by the blazing fire of material pangs, Krishna consciousness gives them relief just like a cloud. Also, the cloud and Krishna, having the same bodily color, are thus considered to be friends. Desiring to congratulate its superior friend, the cloud poured not water, but small flowers, and thus covered the head of Krishna just like an umbrella in order to protect Krishna from the scorching sunshine. Prayer number 5. One of the gopis then told Mother Yashoda, "My dear Mother Yashoda, your son Krishna is very expert among all the cowherder boys. Krishna knows all the different arts of how to tend the cows and also how to play the flute. Krishna composes his own songs, and to play them, Krishna puts his flute to his mouth. And when Krishna plays his flute, either in the morning or in the evening, all the demigods, including Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Chandra, bow their heads and listen with great attention. And although they are very learned and expert, still they cannot understand the musical arrangements of Krishna's flute. And so the demigods simply listen attentively and try to understand, but they become bewildered and nothing more." Prayer number 6. Another gopi said, "Oh my dear friends, when Krishna returns home with his cows, the footprints of the soles of Krishna's feet with the flag, thunderbolt, trident, and lotus flower relieve the pain the earth feels when the cows traverse it. Krishna walks in a stride which is so attractive, and Krishna carries his flute. Just by looking at Krishna, we become eager to enjoy Krishna's company. At that time, our movements cease. We become just like trees and stand perfectly still, unaware that our hair and clothes are loosening. It seems that Krishna had many thousands of cows, and they were divided into groups according to their colors, and they were also differently named according to color. So when Krishna would prepare to return from the pasturing ground, Krishna would gather all the cows. Just as devotees count 108 beads, which represent the 108 individual gopis, or 108 Upanishads. So when Krishna would also count on a 108 beads to count the different groups of cows. Prayer number 7. Another gopi then described Krishna to a friend. When Krishna returns, Krishna is garlanded with tulsi leaves, and Krishna puts his hand on the shoulder of a cowherder boyfriend and begins to blow his transcendental flute. The wives of the black deer thus become enchanted upon hearing the vibration of Krishna's flute, which resembles the vibration of the veena. The deer come to Krishna and become so charmed that they stand still, forgetting their homes and husbands. Like us, who are enchanted by the ocean of transcendental qualities of Krishna, the she-deer become enchanted by the vibration of Krishna's flute. Prayer number 8. Another gopi spoke to Mother Yashoda. My dear mother, when your son, Krishna, returns home, Krishna decorates himself with the buds of the kunda flower, and just to enlighten and gladden his friends, Krishna blows his flute. The breeze blowing from the south creates a pleasing atmosphere because it is fragrant and very cool. Minor demigods like the Gandharvas and Siddhas take advantage of this atmosphere and thus offer prayers to your son by sounding their bugles and drums. Krishna is very kind to the inhabitants of Brajabhumi, Vrindavan, and so when Krishna returns with his cows and friends, Krishna is remembered as Giridhari, the lifter of Govardhan Hill. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the most exalted demigods, like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, come down to offer their evening prayers, and they also accompany the cowherder boys in glorifying the qualities of Krishna. Krishna is compared to the moon, born in the ocean of the womb of Devaki. So when Krishna returns in the evening, it appears that Krishna is fatigued, but Krishna still tries to gladden the inhabitants of Vrindavan by his auspicious presence. When Krishna returns, garlanded with flowers, Krishna's face looks beautiful, adorned with golden earrings. Krishna walks into Vrindavan with a stride just like that of an elephant and slowly enters his home. And upon Krishna's return, the men, women, and cows of Vrindavan immediately forget the scorching heat of the day. Such descriptions of Krishna's transcendental pastimes and activities were remembered by the gopis during Krishna's absence from Vrindavan. And they give us some idea of how attractive Krishna actually is, not only to human beings, but to all animate and inanimate objects. In Vrindavan, the trees, the plants, the water, the animals, like the deer and cows, Everybody and everything is attracted to Krishna. That is the perfect description of Krishna's attraction. So this is something I have mentioned time and time again in our Krishna book classes. That Krishna is attractive, and Krishna is especially attractive in Vrindavan, as we just read here. Not only the gopis, not only the cowherder boys, not only the cowherder men and women, no. Everything, the trees, the plants, the Yamuna River, everything is attracted to Krishna. That is Vrindavan. There is no Maya, there is no forgetfulness of Krishna in Vrindavan. Maya is said to be that state of consciousness where one is forgetful of Krishna. But in Vrindavan, that is impossible. Everyone is completely and fully Krishna conscious. That is the perfect description of Krishna's attraction. The example of the gopis is very instructive to persons who are trying to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So that's us. What Prabhupada just said here, this chapter is relevant to us because we are trying to become absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So one can very easily associate with Krishna simply by remembering Krishna's transcendental pastimes. That is the whole purpose of this weekly class. Very easy to associate with Krishna by remembering his transcendental pastimes. Everyone has a tendency to love someone. That Krishna should be the object of love is the central point of Krishna consciousness. By constantly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and remembering the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, one can be fully in Krishna consciousness and thus make his or her life sublime and fruitful. So, there is a nice explanation of Krishna's flute in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But there is one statement that Prabhupada makes in this connection. That the gopis are always meditating on the sound of Krishna's flute. That is their meditation. The yogis perform meditation. A true yogi meditates on Krishna in the heart. That form of Krishna in the heart is the four-handed Narayana form. So that is the form the yogis meditate. There is a nice chapter in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the song sung by Lord Shiva, wherein he teaches the prachetas how to perform actual meditation on Krishna. But again, that description is on meditation on the four-handed form. And also in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila instructs his mother Devahuti also how to meditate on Krishna within the heart, the four-handed form. But the gopis' meditation was unique, for they were simply meditating on the sound of Krishna's flute. And that constant meditation on the sound of Krishna's flute kept the gopis enlivened constantly. And they were always expecting that Krishna would blow his flute and invite them for the rasa dance. So in that description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada comments that we cannot imitate the Gopis. We're not on that platform. But we can follow in the footsteps of the Gopis by always meditating on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Yes, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra contains the sound of Krishna's flute. So, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of the Gopis by constantly meditating on the 32 syllables, 16 words, 3 seeds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The 3 seeds are Hare, Krishna, and Rama. So if we simply always meditate on those 32 syllables, then we will be following in the footsteps of the Gopis. That is possible for us. Sometimes the question is asked, Prabhu, how long, how many years do I have to chant the Maha Mantra? And my response is always the same. Until you hear the sound of Krishna's flute, keep on chanting. Because the sound of Krishna's flute is there in the Maha Mantra. So if you constantly are chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and meditating on the syllables, when your chanting is perfect, you will hear the sound of Krishna's flute. So until then, I recommend that you keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.